All right, we have our guests in at the moment, and then we're going to go and give you this top picks right away. Ashish Chaturmota, Sameet, Chavan, and Sharmila Joshi are here with us. Let me start with Ashish. What are you doing, Ashish?
Hi, good morning. So definitely, in terms of index, we are near an important support zone of 8700 mark. But definitely in last 3 trading sessions, we have observed some amount of short build-up, and the way yesterday markets cracked, there was a huge build-up of short positions in most of the, heavyweight stocks. So I think that 8700 is a critical support zone, and if it breaks, then definitely the trend is going to be short-term trend is going to be little negative, and we can expect some 8500 to 8550 kind of levels in on downside. As far as my top picks are concerned, see, I'll initiate a short position in LNT at this point of time. If you look at LNT, the stock has not participated in the entire rally of the market, but in last 3 weeks we have seen some amount of consolidation with a lot of short bias. So I think once the stock breaks this 1460 mark, we are heading towards 1400 to 1380 kind of levels on downside. So one can initiate a short position in LNT with a stop above 1485 for an downside target of 1400 levels. My other pick would be a long call on Arvind Limited. Now if you look at Arvind Limited, this stock has been trading in a range between 385 on upside to 280 on downside, and recently we have seen a clear breakout on the weekly and monthly charts about this the 338 339 kind of levels. So I think this stock is in a clear uptrend, and the stock has a potential to cross its previous all-time high. In a shorter term time frame, yes, we can expect a target of 370 levels and can keep a stop below 325, but on the positional side, I believe this stock has a potential to cross 420 430 kind of levels. So I think Arvind Limited is one stock which can be bought in a short term trading as a short term trading opportunity, or even as a medium to long term bet for a good 20-25% kind of upside.
All right, what about you? What are you doing, Sameet?
See, as far as index is concerned, we have been maintaining our cautious stance on the market since last 2 to 3 weeks, considering the fact the formation of shooting star pattern on weekly chart during the anti-penultimate week. If you recall, last Thursday we were about to get gap up opening, and despite this fact, we were maintaining our negative stance, and somewhere around 88.80, 88.60 we had suggested to go short. So yesterday's move has justified our negative stance on the market. Yesterday we clearly saw a breakdown with a breakaway gap from the upward sloping trend line that clearly indicate that it's a matter of fact that it's a matter of time 8700 is likely to be breached, 8688 to be precise, and we expect Nifty to slide further 8600, 8550. These are the levels which we were expecting. So we would maintain our negative stance, and probably any minor bounce towards 8760, 8780 is likely to get sold into. So we would maintain our negative stance on the market. As far as individual stocks are concerned, we have 2 sell recommendation, and one would be on the long side. Sell would be on Maruti Suzuki. Since last 4-5 days, we have been observing this stock struggling around 5600 level, which is the resistance of historical trend line converging around 5600, 5620. Since last 4-5 days, we have been observing series of narrow range bodies. Thus, going by these patterns, we expect an immediate correction, probably towards 5250. So short sell in Maruti with a stop loss of 5662. Other sell call would be on Reliance Capital. We have been closely observing the stock since last 3 weeks. We have already seen a stupendous rally in the stock. However, around 600, 596, we were observing a strong resistance, and since last couple of days, we have seen a decent profit booking in the stock. Okay. Yesterday, the stock confirmed an evening star pattern, so that clearly indicates that at least in the near term, this stock is likely to witness some profit booking. We have an immediate target of 525, 520 for Reliance Capital. Any minor bounce would be a shorting opportunity. Stop loss would be around 586. And our third call would be a buy call on Jet Airways. During the Friday session, we have seen a good traction in this counter with a substantial rise in volume. So if we look at the overall daily and weekly chart structure, this stock has a very strong support around 500, 520. And now if we look at the weekly chart, we expect this stock to consolidate a bit around this strong support zone, and going forward we would see some buying coming in the stock. So we are anticipating this up move So we have an immediate target of 585.85 for Jet Airways, and stop loss would be around 524.
All right, Sanjeev Bhasin is also here with us, but let me go to Sharmila. Sharmila, are you buying anything, or are you saying that the best advice you can give your our viewers is just stay put, don't buy anything, sit on your cash?
Well, not exactly sit on your cash, but I think the situation is a little fluid. Really, honestly, I mean, the kind of reasons that we are hearing for markets to go down, they don't really make a lot of sense. Why should US elections be such a big concern for our market? So I think, somewhere there is a gap in valuations. They have run up too fast, too soon, and I think that is why that sort of note of caution or selling has come into the market. And maybe that can continue if markets correct, because a lot of mid caps have run up very fast. So definitely, I think I stand by all the recommendations I've made, whether it's an Omkar specialty, whether it's a Berger Paints, TVS Motors, I think Bharat Financial, I mean, you name it. But I think we might get an opportunity to buy slightly cheaper, and we should use that. So if the situation is fluid, let's just watch it. If this correction deepens, and I've heard the charters also say 8500 levels. So I think anywhere you get closer to 8600 levels on Nifty, that's when you should really start buying, is what I feel.
Okay, Sanjeev Bhasin is here with us. Sanjeev, what are your top picks? What are you doing?
Yeah, morning Anil. We are again buyers in select mid-cap stocks. Last week we mentioned Cosmo Film on your channel at 350. Yesterday it hit a high of 411. We continue to be extremely bullish. We think levels of 475 to 500 may come in the next by Diwali. So Cosmo Film is our top pick over there. The other is Godrej Property, again a proxy play on the real estate sector with a large order visibility and pedigree management. So Godrej Property again at these 335, 330 levels becomes an excellent buy for a target of 425. As a trading play today, we are purely buying Reliance Capital at this 560 level. We think that the trading ban has put a little bit of a dampener, but this is one outperforming stock in the NBFCs, and NBFCs have been the flavor of the week, of the month, of the season. And we think that they are headed higher. On the Nifty, we've had a consistent view. We think 8400 will be the proverbial point. If not this week, maybe the next, you will definitely come and find a lot of buyer-seller momentum culminating over there. So 8400 there, and maybe 18,800 on the Bank Nifty, because that is where the real problem lies. Global banks have been in the eye of the storm, and we've seen a precursor of that being mimicked in the Bank Nifty in the last 3 days. So we continue to be cautious, but we think trading rallies and volatility will be the key in at least this week going ahead.
Okay, you have a buy on Reliance Capital, and Sameet has a sell on Reliance Capital. You said it's a trading play, Sanjeev. What is the time horizon?
Yeah, it's a trading play for the next 3 days. We think you could get levels of 576. We have a stop loss of 548.
Correct that, because the target on our graphic is actually wrong. I just need to correct that. We need to correct that. I'll just, it looked a little surprising because we had by mistake put 756 as the target in 3 days. It's 576. So we'll just correct that and bring that back. It's 576. But Sameet, you are going short on Reliance
Capital. But on that could be the 1 year target for Reliance Capital, huh?
All right. But as a trading play, it's 576. On the other hand, Sameet is actually going short on Reliance Capital.
Yeah.
Sameet, is it a positional play, short-term trade? What is it?
So it's a short-term trade with a time horizon of at least 5 to 7 days. So for us, any bounce from current level would be a shorting opportunity as long as it manages to close below 585. So we have a trading stop loss of 586, and we expect this entire rally to get retraced at least 38 to 50%. So we have an immediate target of 525, 520 for Reliance Capital.
Okay, Sameet and Ashish, let me start with Ashish. Ashish, if there are shorts built up in the Nifty futures, at what level would shorts start covering? In the sense that if there was a bounce back today, at what level would we see shorts covering and get an artificial bounce after that?
See, my sense is that, since we have broken in last three trading sessions from almost 8900 odd levels in the Nifty futures, so ideally 8800 would become a very important critical resistance point for this rally, and any sustainable move beyond 8800 we will start seeing a lot of short covering, and even we will start seeing a lot of long guys to again come back into the market. So I think ideally 8800 in Nifty futures is the important resistance zone. Until it doesn't breaks 8800 on upside, then I think shorts will try to continue their positions, and once it breaks 8700 on downside, then I think there will be a further fresh addition of short positions in the market, because at that point of time a fresh downside till 8550 can be expected in the market.
So yesterday we closed at 8723. 8800, as Ashish was mentioning, is a crucial resistance. In fact, 8780 itself, 8780 to 8790 itself becomes a kind of a resistance. Even today, 8783 is a resistance. Currently, Nifty is got bids at about 8750 or so. Okay, opening right away. Pankaj, take over.
Reliance Capital will also be in focus because we have the AGMs today. So 10 a.m. is when Reliance Capital will detail out its AGM. That's the first tick, 26 points higher for the Nifty and 78 for Sensex. Tata Motors is up about 2 rupees, 0.5% higher. Axis Bank has seen some selling pressure in the last few days. It's up about 0.7% now. SBI is up 0.7%. BPCL is up 0.5%. Reliance Industries, it moved up yesterday despite markets going down. It's now up 1%, but it's still not gone above yesterday's high. I think 1129 was the yesterday's highest level. Yes Bank has raised some funds, this time via bonds, so it's up 1% or so. ITC is up 0.25%. Sun Pharma is up 0.5%. Ambuja Cement about 0.1 to 2% decline, and Tech Mahindra absolutely flat. Bosch, of course, has given the details of their buyback. The buyback doesn't come in as a surprise, but it definitely has given further details. What are the tendering dates that one should look at? What is the pricing? Pricing also had come in terms of an indication earlier. IRB continues to win an order. There is another order which of about 2100 crores, which they won, 2.5% higher for IRB Infra. 263. Hero MotoCorp was up about 0.7, 3,492. They have launched a new variant. It's priced at 58,000 ex showroom. IIFN Holdings, some CCPs being issued, 3% higher, 279, but volumes are just about 7,000, so it's not much. Nalco gets ex-dividend and it's just priced in that ex-dividend, so there is no movement over there. 12,000, it's a technical adjustment which has already gone through. Saturn Credit Care raised money or has opened the QIP to raise money, always taken as positive for any of these microfinance companies. 150 crores was the base book, but it has a option to increase it to 250 crores. Syntex 85 rupees, 0.8% higher. They have issued the rights issue shares, so the rights issue is now completely done, or the full process is done. There is a management change as far as Gati is concerned. The CFO has left. 138, 13,000 in terms of volumes for Gati. Z Entertainment, there has been some news flow which suggests that there could be some acquisition in Z. TV9 Group is what they are looking to buy, 0.75% higher. But whenever we talk about Z, there is always some reports that it's going to take over some sort of name. Mukta Arts has a board meet today. They are likely to do some rejig where they are likely to transfer some of their businesses into an existing subsidiary. So 94 rupees is where Mukta Arts is, 10% higher. 1.5 lakh shares in terms of volumes, and I can tell you it's not a very frequently traded counter. So that is seeing some good volume traction throughout the day. Today we will look at volumes of Mukta Arts.
All right, let's look at the top turnover counters. We always wait for about 2 minutes for the first trades to settle in. And the highest turnover currently in terms of the biggest gainers among the top 50 turnover counters is BPL Limited. That's up about 5%. Saturn Credit Care, as Pankaj mentioned, QIP, source-based information that they're starting a QIP, opening a QIP, book 4.5% up. Amtech Auto 3% up. IRB Infra, again Pankaj mentioned 2100 crore NHAI order on Gujarat-Rajasthan border. It's a toll project. It's a 21-year toll concession that they're getting. IDFC Bank up about 2.2%. Narayana Rudhyalaya up 2%. Jubilant Life up 1.9%. Bharat Financial Inclusion up 1.7%. Marksons 1.7% up. MCX again up today 1.3%. Jet Airways 1.3%. Reliance Capital, this is in the news, and this is a trading bet from from Sanjeev Bhasin. 576 is its target. It has already hit 573 on Reliance Capital. Reliance Infrastructure 1% up. HPCL just marginally about 1% up. And what are the big losers? Just Dial 1.4%. Ad Labs, it went up yesterday quite sharply, down about 1% on high volumes. Idea Cellular 0.6% down, and this could also be because of the TRAI chairman essentially saying that reacting to Reliance Jio's complaints about the huge call drops that they're facing vis-a-vis Idea Cellular and other telecom operators, and the TRAI chairman saying that this is not acceptable. The levels of call drops are not acceptable. So you're seeing that in the picture. So these are the big losers, but the overall market seem to be doing reasonably well. The Nifty currently trading above 8700 at about 8754. Let's look at Indoco Remedies. There are reports that they're in trouble with US FDA over their one of their plants, and they've got a form for 483 with 6 observations. Indoco Remedies down about 6% at the moment. Some more, as I mentioned, Narayana Rudale, there apparently have been 3 block deals, and it's up about 1.9% at the moment. So these are the 2 counters, 5% up now. All right, Narayana Rudale has actually shot up with those block deals. It has shot up 5% at the moment. So that's the picture, general picture that we are getting as we speak. As I mentioned, Indoco Remedies is down. Let's pull up some other counters for you. L&T Technology Services, it was going to be added to there's a BSE IPO index, and there you see up about 0.3%. There is M&M. India Ratings has given a long-term rating of AAA to M&M. It might not really impact the counter. It's always been a stable company. And Store One Retail, they've approved issue non-convertible debentures of about 500 crores. India Bulls Real Estate, let's pull that one up as well. They've got an approval to issue NCDs of 7,500 crores. There's Hindustan Copper. We'll be speaking to the management today. They've approved issues of non-convertible debentures. So quite a few companies right now operating, going through that NCD route. Hero MotoCorp, they've launched a new limited edition next generation Achiever 150. This is to it's going to be about 60,000 rupees ex-showroom Delhi. And there's Piramal Enterprises. It has bought 4 products from Pfizer. These are broadly what we're seeing. IIFL Holdings, let's pull that one up as well for you. It has approved the issue of what it's called subscriptions, which is compulsory CCCPs, which are compulsorily convertible preference shares, along with some equity shares. Together, these are being called subscriptions. They've been issued to CDC Limited PLC, and that's up about 2% at the moment. And we're also hearing the Jet Airways is forming a transatlantic pact with Air France and Delta. Let's pull up that counter, up about 1.3%. So that's broadly the picture that you're seeing across the board. It is mostly green. Let's try and see if we can pull up some of our indices at the moment. The Sensex and the Nifty are trading about 1/3% up, 8750 on the Nifty, and the Sensex also about 1/3% up at the moment. So that is the broad picture that you see. Sanjeev, you know, your Reliance Capital call, it has almost hit that level that you have asked. Should people stick to what you have said, or should some people, I know you said 576, but the day high was 573. You expected to hit that 576, or is 573 good enough?
Well, Anand, you'll have to keep a stop profit if you want, but 576 is definitely on the cards. You know, it's got oversold. It's become a ban stock. So, you know, there are 11 stocks which have gone into the ban for the short period, which is telling you that there has been the limits have reached, and I think it's more proxy to that. Reliance Capital has been an outperformer, and so we had a trading call just for the next few days. We think if not today, tomorrow, definitely it will hit that target. So keep a trading profit loss at say 569 and you could ride it. The market is just opened up. There could be slight more momentum because there can be a little bit of short covering, but we think you know, there will be extreme volatility, so you should try and take advantage. That's why the trading call. Then try and take your money home and then wait for another opportunity to again buy and sell, on both sides of the market.
Sanjeev, Reliance Capital also has its AGM today, which starts at 10:15 a.m. today. Will it be as important as the Reliance Industries AGM?
Well, yes and no both. There is a lot of expectation for once on the AGM day. It's run up 50% from recent times. We've been bullish on this stock all the way from 375. We thought it was one of the most attractive NBFCs aside from being an ADAG stock. Now, obviously, Pankaj, with Nippon now buying the insurance, we know the mutual fund is doing brilliantly, and we know that they are going to list one of their home insurance arms, home mortgage arms, which is again a very, very bullish sign. So I think they are going to encash some of their core assets, and that would be the icing on the cake. So let's see what Mr. Anil Ambani suggests, what's the road going forward. And like you've seen, credit on the NBFC side is showing a lot of traction, and we would welcome what he would have as an outlook on the businesses going forward, and what are the new verticals if he thinks he could add on. So yes, it would be slightly important, and the stock for once has been on a rising wicket, so that would allay a lot of investors on the sideline.
Sharmila, what do you make of the sell-off that we've seen in the private sector banking space?
Yes, I think, for one reason or the other, you had some negative news flow for private banks. So first you saw that sell-off on Yes Bank because of the QIP, and then post the commentary on NPAs, etc., we saw sell-off on a lot of the banks and private banks. So I think, the concern for banks is not a thing of the past, and I'd be very worried really. Definitely, I think within that space, private banks are better than buying into PSU banks. But at the same time, I think that it would you need to really give it a couple of more quarters to get a more better and clear picture of how NPAs stand, and whether you get a rate cut little later in the year, how that plays out for banks, etc. Because I don't think that we are really done with the stress on the NPAs, whether it is an Axis Bank or whether it is some of the other private banks, and we have seen that private banks have shown that stress level a little more. Especially, I think Axis Bank always gets talked about because they have a larger exposure to some of the companies where the debt levels are high. So I think that kind of sort of pull and tug will continue. But overall, I think within that space, I would still prefer private banks to PSUs.
What do you make of the news that the TRAI chairman appears to be coming in favor of Reliance Jio, and I mean not in favor of Reliance Jio, but seems to think that Reliance Jio's complaint is legitimate, that not enough points of connection are being given, the call drops are absolutely unacceptable, and we've seen today several papers have reported that the TRAI chief has more or less said that this is unacceptable. What do you think that this is a kind of final nail in the coffin of Idea, especially Idea, which is the stressed player among the frontline telecom players?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that as you said, for him to make this kind of a statement and is definitely something that you will have to sort of take note of, because as you said, that I think for some of the incumbent players, this is not a very good development that has happened. But at the same time, I think, this sort of space needs to be watched a little more, because at the end of the day, we do have a spectrum auction that's going to start. We have seen that Jio is going to enter in a big way. But at the same time, I think, there is you need to give some time for reports of how people who are actually using Jio, how that pans out for them. So definitely, I think the sector is no longer the way you would the kind of fancy that it had. But at the same time, I think a lot of the stocks have also corrected and taken that into account. So whether it's an Idea Cellular, whether it's a Bharti Airtel, I mean, definitely I prefer a Bharti Airtel over the others within the listed space. But I think that even an Idea at this level is not really a stock that I'd want to sell, but I'd really just wait and watch the developments a little more.
Ashish, just talking about the telecom space, I wanted to get your views. on the latest telecom player in the market, and that's Reliance Industries. Of course, telecom is not anything to do with its current earnings. But what is Reliance Industries looking like on the charts?
See, it looks very strong. I think this is one stock which is going to see a severe outperformance from current levels, because if you look at in terms of weekly, monthly, quarterly charts, this stock has been consistently building a base, and now the way it has crossed this 1050, 1060 mark, I think this stock has a potential to test minimum 1250, 1300 kind of levels in next coming few weeks or 1 to 2 months. But I think positionally, the way this stock is structured, I'll not be surprised to see even 1400 kind of levels in next 3 to 5 months in Reliance. So I think Reliance is looking very strong. On downside, any dip towards 1070, 60 should be used to average any of the long positions if one buys at current levels. And on downside, I think as a stop loss, I think 1020, 1030 should be kept as a trading stop loss. But I think this stock has a potential to give 20-25% upside from current levels.
You don't think that the resistance around that 1130, 1140 level is significant?
I don't think so, because I'll consider it as a consolidation for last 2 years, and whenever we see a stock consolidating at a good base, generally we see a strong breakout, and with a lot of positive news flow, I think this stock has a potential to cross this resistance zone. It looks good to me for good 20-25% upside.
Okay. Reliance Communication, Sameet, is there any case to take a call on Reliance Communication?
It has clearly underperformed over the past probably 5 to 6 months. It has been consolidating in a broad range. On the higher side, the major level to watch out for would be around 54, 55. This stock is likely to consolidate until it breaks 54, 55 on a closing basis. And on the lower side, we can see multi-year supports somewhere around 45, 44. So those who have already bought it at probably higher levels or somewhere around in this consolidation, then probably 45, 44 important support level is a major level to watch out for. Once its stock slides below 44, then probably it can see sub 40 levels also. So 44 on a closing basis would be a stop loss, those who have bought it at higher levels, and any fresh position should be taken only once this stock surpasses 54, 55 on a closing basis with rise in volumes.
Okay, gentlemen, let me get your and of course, gentle lady Sharmila, let me get your disclosures. Let me start with Sharmila.
Yeah, I may have a holding in some of the stocks discussed.
All right. Sameet?
I don't hold any of these stocks, but our clients might be having positions.
Okay. Ashish?
We have recommended few of these stocks to our clients. I don't have any personal holding in any of them.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me finally get one disclosure from Sanjeev. Sanjeev?
No, Anand, as a broking house, all the stocks we've spoken, our clients will have position. I personally don't trade, and I have no trading positions in any of the stocks spoken.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the show and giving your calls to our viewers. We're going to take a short break right now, and after that, Sept Freeman, he is emerging market